All right, Steve, let's go all the way out west. We're going to talk USC recruiting. Number 13, USC rallied from a 10-point halftime deficit to blank Wisconsin in the second half and pull away for a 38-21 victory. Defense, they pitched a shutout in the second half. And there's some important recruits on campus. Julian Lewis, Shamar Arnaud, Jaden Perlotti, along with some USC targets as well. But let's just start with Julian Lewis. His first time back on campus this season. Good to see Lewis back in LA. Good to see Lewis on the sideline. What are you thinking here with Julian Lewis and the USC Trojans?
Same as I've been saying to you in interviews on Inside Scoop and Wiltfong Whip Round for a while. I think that USC is still in strong position to maintain his commitment and get his signature on December 4th. Now, with that, he's starting to have dialogue again with Auburn over the last couple weeks. He talks to Indiana regularly. The Hoosiers are trying to get him to campus for the Michigan game, the 5-0 Hoosiers. They haven't been 5-0 since Nixon was in the White House. And then Colorado, again, they're trying to get him back for either Cincinnati or Kansas State. But the opportunity to play for Lincoln Riley, what he's done historically with quarterbacks, not only on the field, developing them into the first pick of the draft, the Heisman Trophy winner, but just how he keeps his quarterbacks upright and healthy historically is another thing that the Lewis campus said to me in the past. The way USC's recruiting wideouts, they have a very strong wide receiver class with Jerome Miles, Corey Sims, Romero Eisen and company. So that's an exciting group to play with. You got a chance to spend some time with Elijah Vacona today, an offensive line commit who had a fabulous visit. So he's getting to know those guys. And then USC's recruiting at a high level on defense right now. He's built a relationship with Jakeem Stewart, their top defensive line target that's still out there. He's trying to reclassify On3's number one recruit in 2026. He always mentions Julian Lewis, and his relationship is another reason why he likes USC. USC, they battled back, dominated the second half, got a big win today. I think they're showing a lot of grit as a football program. They battled Michigan last week on the road, came back. Didn't have the first half they wanted to, but pitched a shutout in the second half. Miller Moss threw for over 300 yards, had a couple touchdown passes, had a rushing score. And I think that, again, USC is in a good spot for Julian Lewis.
Yeah, Miller Moss, really tough performance on Saturday. Now, let's talk about some of these uncommitted targets that were on campus as well. And I'm mainly looking right at the top of that list, Floyd Blucard. Fresh off that decommitment from Oklahoma. He's from Miami, Florida, but he's back on the market. And one of his first visits after decommitting from Oklahoma is out to USC. They also had Benny Patterson. So we know, and he's committed to Cincinnati. We know that USC is trying to beef up that defensive line. You mentioned Jakeem Stewart, the 5-star who might reclassify. But what about Floyd Blucard? I mean, he was one of Oklahoma's prized commitments. Now he's back on the market, position in need for USC.
Talk to a source that spent time with Floyd that says everything still looks good there. I love my prediction of Floyd Blucard to USC. Benny wasn't able to make it to USC this weekend because of the hurricane. His game was rescheduled to Saturday. They had a massive win. Castle had a huge win over powerhouse Evansville Rights in the Rights Bowl. So it was well worth it for him to stay home and get that win against the powerhouse high school program. I think he'll be at USC for the Penn State game in 2 weeks. So USC obviously creating a great deal of intrigue with him, from Coach Eric Henderson to Coach Sean Nua and Lincoln Riley. And then those three juniors that you had listed there, I talked to RJ Sermons and I talked to Deshaun Rideau today, and I have predicted both of them to USC on the On3 RPM this evening. RJ Sermons, his father, obviously played for USC. I talked to both of them. They continue to love the trajectory of this defense under Coach Deonton Lynn and the way that these guys are playing in the secondary. And then Deshaun Rideau at one point was a heavy UCLA lean. Chad Simmons and I both hearing that USC gaining momentum in that recruitment. This was his second game visit at USC. He's actually at UCLA tonight. A lot of kids able to hit a double with USC in the noon slot for them, and then UCLA playing later in the day in the Rose Bowl against Oregon. But USC has the momentum. Deshaun Foster and company are going to have to try and get it back.
Yeah, and I saw you put that recruiting prediction machine pick in for RJ Sermons. I mean, I think 5 or 6 weeks ago, I would have said he's all Oregon. So I think that's another one that USC has made up a considerable amount of ground on just by having a great start to their season.
Well, I think this was his third time seeing him play. He was at
Mhm.
the LSU game in Las Vegas, and I talked to him and his dad after that, and I was strongly considering putting the pick in, just having that conversation with them. They walked out of Allegiant Stadium, I believe it is, or wherever the Raiders play, with a great amount of pride for USC. And look, Lincoln Riley's been telling guys like Jakeem Stewart and RJ Sermons and defensive prospects, look, the way that we played defense this past year is not the way we're going to play defense in the future. We're going to get it fixed. And he went out and hired arguably the best defensive coaching staff in the country on paper. When you talk about what some of these guys have accomplished, from Deontin Lynn, new defensive coordinator, Coach Entz, the linebackers coach, is a national champion, head coach on the FBS level, Coach Doug Belk in the secondary. You bring in Eric Henderson from the NFL, who's coached guys like Aaron Donald and won a Super Bowl with the Rams. You have Sean Nua in there. All of a sudden, this is an exciting coaching staff, and you see how hard they're playing, how physical they're playing. It's been a long time since we've seen USC be a team that can be tone setting on the defensive side of the ball. We're seeing it. Recruits are seeing it. And with that, they're really starting to trend with really good players on the defensive side of the ball. The strength of their class right now is quarterback, receiver, and defense in 2025. And they have a top 10 class in 2026, and they're off and running on the defensive side of the ball in that cycle as well. And again, I like where they stand with RJ Sermons.
All right. Well, we're going to definitely be talking more USC Trojans throughout the week, but USC fans, talk to us. Exciting start, big visit weekend. How you guys feeling? Let us know. Comment section below.